BBS13 News at 4:30. Reporting to you live from Y Mills, I'm Sarah Perry. Martin Luther King Jr. holds an important place in our history. He fought for the rights of all men and had a profound impact on desegregation in the South. A memorial has been built in his honor in Washington, D.C., and stands among the most significant people and events in our nation's history. The Martin Luther King dedication was meant to be held on Sunday, August 28th, but was delayed due to Hurricane Irene. Let's take a closer look at those weather reports.
Airlines could cancel or delay flights. The hurricane is already forcing cruise lines to change routes and schedules. The situation could be much more dire for residents along the East Coast. The hurricane's eventual impact could force changes to the MLK schedule in Washington, D.C. The dedication ceremony for the Dr. King statue is supposed to be Sunday, when Irene could be in the neighborhood.
If it's canceled, it is, then we'll come home and be a little disappointed, but we'll still be part of that whole atmosphere.
President Obama is supposed to be the keynote speaker at Sunday's dedication ceremony, and Holly is very excited about the chance to be with the president and other celebrities. Unfortunately, one of them might be a troublemaker named Irene.
Finally, today, it was to have been a wonderful day in Washington where people from all over the country were gathering to honor the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. on the anniversary of his I Have a Dream speech. But that was all blown away, canceled as the hurricane roared through, reminding us that for all our ingenuity, we still cannot control the power and the force of nature. So the massive statue stood alone in the storm to be dedicated and celebrated another day. An organizer of the event called postponing the dedication heartbreaking, and while disappointing to so many who had worked so hard, no celebration was really necessary. As Lincoln said of Gettysburg, those who died there consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. King's great work requires no ceremony or validation. It is celebrated every time an American child is born to enjoy and take for granted a freedom so wrongly once denied. The storm will pass and the King Memorial will take its place among the great monuments of Washington, which are, after all, the index of our nation's values. Those we honor remind us and tell others who we are and what we hold to be important. But the monuments are only reminders. Each of us builds our own memorial by the work we do and the life we lead. The storm reminded us of the power of nature, but King's work showed that the power of the human spirit is even greater.
Thank you for that valuable information on Hurricane Irene. Martin Luther King's dedication was held on October 16th. One of the keynote speakers was President Obama. He reminds us that the struggles we face today are nothing compared to what civil rights activists faced in the past. Let's take a closer look.
An earthquake and a hurricane may have delayed this day, but this is a day that would not be denied. For this day, we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s return to the National Mall. I raise all this because nearly 50 years after the March on Washington, our work, Dr. King's work, is not yet complete. In the first decade of this new century, we have been tested by war and by tragedy, by an economic crisis and its aftermath that has left millions out of work and poverty on the rise and millions more just struggling to get by. When confronting disappointment, Dr. King refused to accept what he called the isness of today. He kept pushing towards the oughtness of tomorrow. And so as we think about all the work that we must do, rebuilding an economy that can compete on a global stage, fixing our schools so that every child, not just some, but every child gets a world-class education, making sure that our healthcare system is affordable and accessible to all, and that our economic system is one in which everybody g's a fair shake and everybody does their fair share. Let us not be trapped by what is. We can't be discouraged by what is. We've got to keep pushing for what ought to be. The America we ought to leave to our children, mindful that the hardships we face are nothing compared to those Dr. King and his fellow marchers faced 50 years ago.
Martin Luther King's memorial serves as a symbol of justice, democracy, and hope. I'll turn it over to Becky and Brittany for more on the elements which piece together the concept of design.
Good afternoon, I'm Becky Armiger.
And I'm Brittany Steele.
And today we're going to be taking you on a virtual tour of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial.
We're going to be looking at all the design elements at which makes this memorial a spectacular place.
The site for the memorial was approved in December of 1999. 4 acres on the northeast corner of the tidal basin within the precinct of the Jefferson Memorial and north of the Roosevelt Memorial. This site creates a visual line of leadership from the Jefferson Memorial to the Lincoln Memorial, where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Natural elements, water, stone, and trees are used to underscore the themes of justice, democracy, and hope.
The inscription wall features 14 Martin Luther King quotes along a 450-foot crescent-shaped granite wall. They are not placed in time order. There is no defined path by which you are said to follow. None of the inscriptions are from his I Have a Dream speech, for the reason being that we are set to move forward. And also, the designer wanted people to learn more about his lesser-known words and speeches. Large trees such as oaks, pines, magnolias, and cherries reinforce the integrity of the memorial. They add dimension, so seasonal change, growth, and offer opportunities for more memorial spaces. Planted in random places, the cherries are weaving the basin, and the magnolias frame the sides of the plaza at the top of the plain. Oak trees bring into focus the central themes of justice and democracy. The sculpture of King is 28 feet tall, taller than the statues of Lincoln and Jefferson. The entry point is marked by 2 stones parted and a single stone pushed back, appearing as a missing piece. One side, the theme of hope, is presented with the words from King's speech in 1963. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. On the other side, let the justice roll down like waters of righteousness, like a mighty stream. This allows the themes of justice and hope to be presented in the beginnings of the memorial. Another stone stands that appears to be pulled forward. The Jefferson Memorial in view while reading on this stone. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you for joining us on our virtual tour. I'm Becky.
I'm Brittany.
Back to you, Sarah.
This design was more than just a simple process. It was actually competitive. Let's send it over to Brittany for more on how the competition went about.
Thank you, Sarah. Arriving at this design for the memorial was a very competitive process. In December 1999, the foundation formed an international panel of architects and designers to develop and coordinate the program of requirements for the memorial. The design competition attracted more than 1,900 registrants, and over 900 submissions were received from architects, landscape architects, student sculptors, and professors representing 52 countries around the world. In September 2000, entry number 1403 by Roma Design Group of San Francisco was selected as the winning design. Then in 2006, master sculptor Lee Yixon was named Sculptor of Record. The sculptor is charged with the task of capturing not only the likeness of Dr. King, but his essence and spirit as well. I'm Brittany Steele reporting. Thank you. Back to you, Sarah.
This memorial also brought about the 2010 Kids for King Education Initiative. Becky will give us details on this contest.
2010 Kids for King Education Initiative was held from August 2009 through May 2010. Submissions from K-12 students from across the United States were reviewed. Of all the entries submitted, 25% were randomly selected from each grade group and category and were judged. Winning essays were selected by celebrity judges Gwen Ifill, Hill Harper, and rapper Nelly Hayes. For the competition, students had to submit an essay, a piece of art, or a short video online or by mail. They had to describe what they learned about Dr. King's ideals of democracy, love, justice, and hope, and how they plan to carry the legacy forward. 9 Kids for King program honorees were selected from grades 3rd through 12th. Winners attended the Fall 2010 Kids for King Initiative recognition ceremony in Washington, D.C. Complimentary meals, travel, and hotel accommodations were provided for each student and parent chaperone. To learn more, please visit www.kidsforking.org.
Thank you for watching us this evening.
To learn more